One. Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Kageyama, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to Be Your Own Hero. I'm a stage 4 prostate, bone, and lung cancer patient, been battling cancer now for over 2 years and really doing well. I had recently had scans and everything like that, and everything is looking really great. And I will update you as we progress, but things are looking really, really good. And I'm really happy with the results. And I'm really happy to be here because, well, let me first tell a little bit about what's happened in the past week. Had a chance to meet one of the people that I had an opportunity to interview, named Terry Lynn Ranella, who I interviewed several interviews back. And she flew in from Denver, and along with Dr. Gary Phillips, who I also interviewed, had a couple of interviews with. We got together for lunch in Santa Monica at True Foods and just had a wonderful, wonderful get together. And I was just talking with Tim, my guest, and there's just nothing like getting together in person. And, that's the way it was meant to be. We were meant to get together in person, and it was just great. It was great, and I thank both of them for just a very special lunch and get together. And we could have spent all day long there, but everybody has things to do. But it was really terrific, and so I am really excited today to introduce a friend of mine who I've known for a couple of years now, right, Tim?
It must be.
Yeah, it must be. I'd like to introduce Tim Sohn, and he does a lot of things, and I've guest co-hosted on his fantastic live stream, Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer, and he's doing a lot of other things. So, Tim, please introduce yourself and share with us what you have going, because it's a lot, and we're going to get into it.
Mark, first of all, thank you so much for having me. You are a wonderful friend. You have guest co-hosted and been a guest on my show that I co-host, Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer, with Erica Neubert Campbell. So I'm a husband, I'm a dad, I'm a son, I'm a brother. I'm a live stream producer. I co-host another show called The Tim and Jim Show, where we have conversations with experts about how to grow small businesses. I co-founded Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer, which is a weekly show, which is on Tuesdays at 3:00 Eastern time, which is a safe space where cancer patients, survivors, and supporters come together to share their stories and connect and find resources for healing, hope, and resilience. And that's really a little bit about me. That's led to, and I'm sure we'll talk about this later, a book, an in-person event. The second in-person event's coming up on September 30th, and it's going to be a 2-day event this year, September 30th and October 1st, here in Northeast Pennsylvania. But lots, like you said, lots of things going on, which are exciting, and I'm blessed to be a part of all of these different things, and to be here with you today and your wonderful community here.
Oh, thank you so much. Tell us just a quick bit about the book.
Yeah, so the book, Mark, and you are a contributor to the book, so thank you you share your cancer story in the book. And the book is called Perspectives on Cancer. Cancer patients, survivors, and supporters share their stories. And really, the book's purpose is to let other cancer patients, survivors, and supporters know that they're not alone, and to encourage them to share their stories as well. And it includes my cancer story, as well as Erica's story, my co-host on Showing Up, your story, as well as a number of other others in the cancer community who have been on the show as well. And the book is available for pre-order, the Kindle version right now, and we'll be launching in the next month or two officially. So, and one of the cool things about the book is, which I really didn't know, but the people who have written their stories I've discovered they actually wrote their own stories. We didn't transcribe the stories from the show or anything like that. People have actually written their stories themselves. And so I've discovered additional or different perspectives on cancer that I didn't know that some of the guests had. So it's been a really interesting and insightful journey of reading these stories as I've been reading and editing the stories as I've been going along in this book journey.
Awesome. Awesome. We're going to talk more about that later on in our
Yeah.
discussion here. But how did your cancer journey start?
Yeah. So 16 years ago, I had discovered that there were some purple bruises on one of my legs. And they weren't bruises or a type of bruise that I had ever gotten before, or they lasted longer. There was some reason that I went to my primary care physician. So I went to my primary care physician and he took some blood work and he called me up pretty quickly and he said, "You need to go to the hospital right away." So I went to Westchester Medical Center, which was about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from where I lived in the time. I was living in New Jersey at the time. And so I went to the hospital. I stayed there for 4 days. And in that time period, they diagnosed me with chronic myeloid leukemia, which is a blood cancer. And so the treatment plan for it is to take an oral chemotherapy medication. And the first one that I was on was called Gleevec. And over time, I've changed. Now I take one called Sprycel. And in 2021, I was actually found out that I was no evidence of disease. Very surprisingly, for almost 15 years, I was in cancer. I had cancer, but in 2021, I found out that I had no more leukemia cells in my body, very surprisingly and happily.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
That is awesome. Congratulations. That's gotta gotta be the best feeling.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about your family and how they reacted to your cancer and or was that before? That was before you got married, right?
Yes, this is kind of a funny story. Well, depending on your perspective, I guess. So I had met my wife, my now wife, Joy. We'll be married 13 years in May. I had only met her a few months after I was diagnosed with cancer. And I did not tell her right away that I had cancer. So she found out that I had cancer by discovering an appointment slip on the refrigerator
Oh,
for my
wow.
oncologist appointment. So she actually asked me about it on a phone call. My wife's a teacher, and I was working at the time at night for a newspaper. So she asked me at 1 o'clock in the morning on a phone call about the oncologist slip on the newspaper. And that was our conversation about me having cancer to my now wife.
Wow.
Yes.
This is fun because I did not know that.
No.
No, I hadn't heard that at all either.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's how that happened. That's how she found out.
So what did she say to that?
Her reaction was probably something like, "Oh."
But was she concerned or was what was her reaction to that? Because it's got to be had to be like stunning to her, really.
I'm sure it was. I don't really remember exactly her reaction. Um, but I'm sure it was something of shock, and there were definitely more questions after that. Maybe the next day. I don't remember the full extent of our 1 a.m. conversation now. Yeah.
Wow, wow, that's got to be a shocking way to learn about. Hey, this guy that I'm seeing has cancer. It's got to be, uh, gosh, unbelievable.
Yeah, and I do remember early on we had conversations about whether we each wanted to have children down the road. And that's one of those hard decisions that come up when you have cancer is well, finding out if you can have children, and then, do you want to have children? And I remember when I asked my oncologist about these questions, he had said that if you were a woman, I would say, based on, studies and things like that, to not pursue it. He said from the male perspective that there weren't many studies done, but from anecdotal evidence that it would be okay to pursue having children. So Megan is a Gleevec baby and Caitlin is a Spreisel baby, we like to say.
Okay.
In case you were
Wow.
wondering.
And how old are your kids now?
Megan is 11 and Caitlin is 8.
So
and healthy and thriving.
that is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And so when you found out that you had cancer, your symptoms and everything like that were really mild, weren't they, or non-existent, or what was the story?
I really just had the bruises. That was the full extent. And when I started the Gleevec, I didn't have any side effects. I switched to another oral chemotherapy several years later, because sometimes what happens is the oral chemotherapy medication the effectiveness of it over time will lessen, and the number of your leukemia cells will go up in your body. So that started happening to me after a number of years. So I switched to one called Bostilif. I vomited excessively with that one. So luckily, there are a number of different options with chronic myeloid leukemia that you could try. So then we switched to Spreisel, which is what I still take today. So I'm really blessed that there are different options.
Yeah. Was a stem cell transplant ever discussed, or you weren't?
It was never discussed. There was a discussion when I was first diagnosed about a clinical trial, but there was nobody else who had ever taken the clinical trial before. So we had ruled that option out. But that a stem cell transplant was never presented as an option.
Yeah, because most people I know with blood cancers, a number of them have to undergo stem cell treatments, and that is really an extensive situation from what I've been told. So you were
I've heard the same as well.
Very, very fortunate. Absolutely. Yeah. So as time goes on, it seems like you caught it at the right time, and you're fortunate to get the right treatment. And so, I really always admire everyone in our community, who gives back and makes an effort to, engage people. And that's what you've done. You've done a great job. I love your, what you're doing. And let's talk about some of those things that you do, because, we want to bring more awareness, have people check different things out, and, discover that the answers are out there. It's just a matter of looking for them and finding them, because, what we want to do here is provide hope, and for people to realize that, having cancer is not a death sentence unless you want it to be. And so, you and I both know that, just because you have cancer, it doesn't mean that you're going to die. There are things that you could do to, help to live. And, the answers are available if you're willing to go for it, and look for the right people, and engage, and talk to people. And so many people, when they get their diagnosis, oh, you have 6 months to live, or you have a year to live, and everything like that, and they just take their doctor's word for it. And that's not what we're all about. We're about advocating for yourself, finding answers and the right situation and the right treatments for you, because everybody is different. Everybody has a different situation. So let's talk about some of the things that you do, because you do some amazing things, and they're really great. So I'll let you, why don't we talk about showing up perspectives on cancer, how that started, where you're at with it today. It's a beautiful, beautiful platform. And that's why I try to show up as every week. I think I've missed very, very few. So go ahead.
I agree that you've missed very, very few, Mark, because if you're not in the comments, it's definitely noticeable. So yeah, thank you for asking about the show. So Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer was started in November of 2021, and the show came together pretty quickly. The show is co-created by me and Carol Ulker. She's no longer with the show, but um, I came to the show with my perspective as a cancer survivor, and also I have other perspectives as well. All of my grandparents have passed from cancer. My uncle, he had Hodgkin's lymphoma. He passed of Hodgkin's lymphoma, so also a blood cancer. Have other people in my family who are currently going through cancer or have gone through cancer. So cancer survivorship is not my only perspective on cancer, for sure. And Kara brought another perspective as well. And that's what we're all about on Perspectives on Cancer, is bringing different perspectives to the conversation. So we have guests who come on the show, whether it's cancer patient, a cancer survivor, a cancer supporter, whether it's somebody from a nonprofit or a medical professional or somebody who's written a book, but it's usually really focused on the personal journey of the guest. And then also people like Mark, and it's really a global community of people that show
Yes.
up from the US, but also from Canada and other places around the world, that show up in the comments and provide their perspectives and their connections to cancer, and really support each other from the comments, support our guests, support each other, and connect with each other. They've really created friendships, even right from the comments, right, Mark?
Absolutely. I've met so many people through, the different avenues that the cancer community provides. And in my opinion, some of the greatest people on earth, period. I mean, I just love the cancer community. And what was it that Joe had said about being a member of the cancer community? It's not a community that you sign up for, but once you're in it,
Right.
you realize how great it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe Tower.
It's true.
Yeah,
Joe's amazing. Joe's caregiver to his cancer warrior wife Anna, right? And he does amazing work with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, fundraising for them. It's such a beautiful community of people who come together every week for Showing Up, and even beyond the week, I'm sure people connect with each other and have conversations beyond that. And then the show, go ahead, Mark.
Question: How did you? So, Erica Neubert Campbell is now your co-host. How did you meet her? I never heard that story.
That's a really good question. So I had been looking for another co-host, and so we were connected as a result of Bill Tomoff, Terry and Bill Tomoff. Their son has had cancer 5 times. Wow. And Terry's a contributor to the book as well. So I think Erica had seen maybe a comment that Bill commented on something I posted or something. So Bill is the connection there. Yeah, so I'm really grateful to have Erica as co-host, because Erica has multiple perspectives on cancer. As a breast cancer survivor, her mom passed of cancer, of breast cancer. She's the executive director of the Pinky Swear Foundation that helps parents and children with cancer emotionally and with financial support. And she volunteered for 20 years with a children's camp, children that have cancer. So she really brings multiple perspectives of cancer to the conversation, which I'm so blessed to have her as co-host now.
She's fantastic. She's really good. And I would highly recommend, why don't you give a pitch for the show right now, and remind everybody when that is.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, so Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer is on Tuesdays at 3:00 Eastern time, and you could watch it on my LinkedIn profile. So just search for Tim Sohn, Sohn, among other places. Yeah.
And it's also, you can find it on YouTube as well.
It is on YouTube also. Yes.
Yes. So it's a live stream on Tuesdays. It goes live, and then it's recorded as you're doing it, and then he posts it onto YouTube, and it's available on YouTube at any time. And I've gone back and I utilize that as resource to learn about some of the people that I've come in contact with too. So we work together and try to bring good people to both sides. So it's fun. It's really fun. And
absolutely,
tell us a little bit about your about the Lymphoma Society Man of the Year. That was a real special thing, and you were the Lymphoma Society Man of the Year for 2022.
So in 2022, I participated in the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Man and Woman of the Year philanthropic competition. Now imagine saying philanthropic competition. We did a 24-hour live stream fundraiser, and I should have counted how many times we said philanthropic competition. But basically what a philanthropic competition is, you compete against other people in your region. So I'm here in Northeast Pennsylvania, and there were other people who were also holding philanthropic competitions. So basically it's a 10-week fundraising campaign. You're raising money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, which provides money for research and so many other things, financial support, and a whole list of things that support blood cancer patients as well as their families. But LLS also provides funding for patients even beyond blood cancers, which I didn't even know before the campaign, which is really cool. So the main way that we provided, that we raised funds in our campaign, was we held a 24-hour live stream fundraiser called Open Your Hearts and Wallets. And so we had 14 live stream hosts from Alaska to the United Kingdom to Canada and across the United States. I mean, Alaska's in the United States too, but it's way over there. And so blessed to have so many people helping out. And what we did was we had conversations with cancer patients, cancer survivors, cancer supporters about their cancer stories. We also had some people who sang and provided entertainment, and it just brought, and also had conversations with, there's a boy and girl of the year who are featured in the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society campaigns for this. So we were able to have conversations during special episodes of Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer with the parents of the boy and girl of the year, which was so special.
Who was that, by the way?
Now I didn't know you were going to ask that.
I didn't either.
The girl's name was McCoy and the boy's name was Grayson.
Okay.
Yes. Thanks for asking, Mark. I'm glad I remembered.
I am too. I'm kind of notorious for that. You should know that by now.
You are definitely notorious, Mark.
we have a good time, and that's what this is all about. Is you know, I don't like to do things unless it's worthwhile, and and it's rewarding, and part of that reward is just engaging with people, and putting a smile on their face and seeing them smile. So that's always really, really important to me. So uh didn't mean to put you on the spot that way, but that's just kind of the way I roll.
It's okay, and it's only okay because I remembered their names. Otherwise, you would have been in trouble. I would have had the screaming goat out for you. Would have had that would have been out for you.
Show everybody that, and kind of tell that story. That's a fun story, so I like that.
So this is the screaming goat. I don't actually have the goat at my desk right now, but
Oh man.
the screaming goat is it actually makes a screaming goat noise. And I discovered the screaming goat in Princeton, New Jersey. I was visiting Brian Schulman. He was there visiting his son. It was his freshman year in college, and I went to go visit him, and we went to Barnes and Noble, and I was browsing around Barnes and Noble, and I came across this box that said screaming goat on it. And I said, I have to buy that. That seems so ridiculous. It must be I got to get it. I just got to get it. So I bought it. I put it in a bag. I wasn't even going to show it to Brian. And I bought it. Brian saw it in the bag and he said, "What is that?" I said, "It's a screaming goat." I didn't even take it out of the box yet. I took it out of the box. You hit the button and it makes this hilarious screaming goat noise. So Brian buys one. And now I send them randomly to people because it just makes people laugh. It just brings joy to people. Who would have thought a screaming goat would bring people joy?
No, it's fun. It's fun. Definitely.
Definitely.
Definitely. Yeah. So that brings us to the book, which is what we really want to talk about. What prompted you to come up with the idea of the book? And I was amazed at how quickly you put everything together. I mean, that was just incredible. So what prompted the idea for the book, first of all?
So I had been wanting to do a book for a while with my cancer story in it. And I do not like reading long things. I do not like writing long things. I used to be in journalism at newspapers. I love reading short things. I love writing short things, but just the idea of a book, I didn't think I would ever write one. So I ran away from it in my head quickly. The idea went in and then it escaped that quickly. And then, right? It's pretty hilarious. And then in November at the in-person Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer event, Savio Clemente was our guest on the 52nd episode of Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer. And he wrote a book about his cancer story, and he included the stories of other cancer survivors in it. And when I saw that book, I said, hey, I could do something similar like that. I could include my story and then invite other people who have been on Showing Up to share their story in the book as well. And then just the idea of the book got so much less overwhelming in my head. So probably a few weeks after the event, I started writing my story. And by the way, the hardest part of this book was writing my cancer story by far. Just that I've told my story, I don't know how many times on video, but actually sitting down and writing. Mark, what was the experience for you writing your cancer story?
I've done it so many things, I've written, several things for other people, just short things. And so, and I talk about it all the time. So when you asked me if I wanted to do that, I looked at that, and then you set the deadline, and just, I don't know if you recall, but I got it back to you like that day, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because I just said, I'm just going to do it. So I just sat at the computer,
Wow.
did it in like 2 hours or whatever it was. It wasn't
Wow.
long.
Yeah.
And I just sent it in. I said, well, that's off my plate now. So
Wow. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. I mean, you notice when you asked me to do something on that, it got back to you right away because
It
to
did.
leave. I don't like to leave things hanging because then it just goes kind of like, in a different bin or something, and it
Yeah.
doesn't get done. That's why I always try to get things done as soon as possible if I have the opportunity. So yeah, I just
I
wanted
love that.
to get it done and move on. But I was so impressed at the speed at which you did things and how it came together. And next thing I know, I see a book cover and it's really great, really great. I love that
Thank you.
cover. And in fact, we're gonna put the what I want to do for this video is put your picture on one side and put the book on the other side, and then put a normal caption on there.
Oh,
So
awesome.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
that.
So you do need to get me a few pictures of yourself along with your links, which we'll put in the description, and whatever that may be, and then I'll do a LinkedIn post, and we'll just double team this and get it out there again.
I'd love that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about the book journey. What else happened with it, and share with us some of the other people that were involved, because I know you have some amazing people.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I should shout out Veronica Jeans. Veronica Jeans has been helping me with learning the self-publishing process. The book is going to be on Amazon. Well, it is on Amazon for pre-order now, the Kindle version. There will also be a paperback as well. So shout out to Veronica Jeans because I knew nothing about the self-publishing process before this. So shout out to her. Um, there are 10 other people in the book besides myself, including Mark. Um, I I don't want to leave anybody out.
No, just
But
just name a few. I mean, I
yeah,
don't expect you to remember everybody off the top of your head, but
yeah.
don't.
So
I'm not taking responsibility either when they don't hear their names. So
yes. So Cara Honorado is one of the people that she shares her perspectives on cancer. She has a number of perspectives and connections on cancer, but the main one is her daughter passed of cancer at age 20. And that that story particularly struck me. She even shared the last words of her daughter and the last conversation that she had with her daughter in the book.
oh
Um,
wow. Yeah.
so
Just sorry to interrupt you, but
no,
for those who are interested, um, Tim did a live stream with Kara, and I also did an interview with Kara, which um, was with unquestionably one of my favorite videos that I've done. I mean, in fact, that video, I don't even know how I got through that. I mean,
yeah,
I waited for her to start talking again so I could recompose myself because it was tough. That was really tough, and she is just such a great speaker and really engaging, and the story about her daughter Sunny is just it's just so amazing, really amazing. So yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So her story, Tim McDonald's story is in there. Tim is still looking for a liver donor, and he's had challenges with um, getting insurance to get a liver donor. His story is in there, and he's been so amazing. He was in Washington, D.C. recently. I believe it's colorectal cancer month. He was in Washington, D.C., and he's still getting treatment, but he's still so much advocating for others and in the fight. And I really look up to him. He's incredible.
He was the one we were going to do a live stream with, and he backed out because he was going through treatments. Have you had him on Showing Up yet?
No, he's been on the show.
He has?
Yeah, maybe it was somebody else that backed out.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Also, Terry Tomoff, she shares her connections to cancer. Her son Ryan has had cancer five times, starting when he was a child. And she shares other connections to cancer as well, but it's an incredible story. Yeah, but there are so many stories, and I think the thing about the book is that it really, I think people that have cancer, or family members, or people that read the book are going to find something. It might not be exactly the same, but everybody has their own story, but you might find something relatable, right? It might not be the exact same story, but everybody, we're all human beings. We all have emotions. We all can empathize in some way, most likely, to somebody's story in the book.
And that's why these are stories that anybody can learn from. And what I
Exactly.
think a lot of people do is they say, oh, in their mind, they say, oh, I don't have cancer, and I don't know anybody who has cancer, so I don't need to see it. But the problem is with cancer is, when you are, going to school, you're studying to be a doctor, you're studying to be a lawyer, whatever that may be, you're putting in time to learn about that craft. All of a sudden, let's say out of the blue, you get a cancer diagnosis and you don't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about it. And I'm sure you didn't know anything about it because we didn't study it. But yet you're put in a position to make a lot of life decisions about something you don't even know about. And that's
Exactly.
the crazy thing about cancer. And so, I always recommend to anybody, I have, on LinkedIn, I have so many people that say, oh, I don't have cancer, so I don't need to do that. But I don't think that's the case anymore because it's an epidemic. There's so many people that have cancer now that it would behoove any person living in today's society to learn at least something about it. So in the event that, I hope it doesn't happen, but in the event that you or somebody that gets cancer, and that at this point in our lives, if you don't know somebody, that I don't know hardly anybody who doesn't know somebody who has cancer. It's just that rampant. It's so prevalent. There's so many people that have it. I'm shocked every single day on my LinkedIn. I get, between 3 and 10 people who say, oh yeah, I have cancer, or somebody very close to me has cancer. In fact, last night it was like, and this just happened last night. I get a text from a friend of mine. I don't, I met him through LinkedIn. I don't really talk to him that much, but every now and then we chat and things like that. He sends me a text, and it was like 10:45. And he says, he's begging me, please, can you talk to my friend? And I look at that and I look at the time and I think, oh my goodness. And I took a step back, and he wrote a long text. And I said, okay, uh, I'll go ahead and I'll call this guy. And I was really glad I did, because here was somebody whose wife had stage 4 bone, lung, and lymph node cancer. And he was, I mean, literally just, feeling helpless, that's the way it is, especially when it's somebody that close to you. Yeah. And so we ended up talking, and don't get the wrong idea. People who are watching this interview, it's not okay to call me that late, but it was just a special circumstances. We ended up talking till after 12. And then he came, he even came to our cancer conquering community today. So that tells me how serious he is. But we talked, and he was excited to hear some of the things that I had to share with him, and he was excited today as well. So I love to get in contact with people who are hungry to learn, and and realize what cancer really is. It is a fight for your life. And anybody who gets cancer and doesn't realize it's a fight is going to lose that fight more times than not. So, yeah, there's so much to a cancer journey, and I know that, and you see all these different perspectives through the guests that come to showing up, and what you're doing it's just fantastic, and I'm so glad to call you my friend.
I feel the same about you, Mark, and I want to shout you out for all that you do here with your YouTube channel and with your cancer conquering community and all your initiatives.
Thank you so much. I both you and I know we can keep talking for a long time, but
let's do it. How long can we go?
But what would be your final thought to wrap up our discussion here? What would you like to share with people?
I guess my final thought would be, don't take life for granted. For me, I've had a new perspective I would say the last month. A close family member passed, someone who had breast cancer. She had a 13-year battle with breast cancer that metastasized to her esophagus and to her intestines pretty rapidly. And then in a matter of weeks, she had passed. And my perspective had been, as a cancer survivor, of somebody in my journey, I have not struggled very much from cancer physically. And this close family member who had passed, she her passing was the first close family member who had passed since I had gotten no evidence of disease and since starting showing up perspectives on cancer. So that was a new perspective for me since those things happened. So don't take life for granted. Tell people you love them, who you love. Send them a message. Reach out. Spend time with the people that you love, because you don't know when they're not going to be here again.
So true. So true. Beautiful. That is absolutely fantastic, and a great one-word perspective, which is not one word.
You didn't say one word, did you?
No, I didn't.
Wait, which show are we on?
we're laughing because it's an inside joke on
I'm
showing up
glad we're laughing.
perspectives on cancer. Well, how they finish up is they ask for everyone to give their one word perspective for the day. And so that's what we're chuckling
That
about.
is so hard to do. That is totally Erica's doing that question. That is so hard for me.
Thank you so much, Tim. I mean, I just, it was great, absolutely great. And I appreciate everything that you do. I appreciate your friendship and look forward to one day seeing you in person, hopefully this year, but I'm not sure. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, I'm so thankful for you and what you do, and what you do is fantastic. So thank you. And what Tim mentioned was so important because, the bottom line is we have one life and we get one shot at this thing called life, and don't waste it. Appreciate it. Every morning that you open your eyes for a new day, that's a new opportunity. And there's a lot of negativity going on in this world, and there's no reason to embrace that negativity. Embrace the positive, because there's so many positive things out there, and that's how we can make the world a better place. And what I like to do is I like to end with a positive quote, and I'm going to give two today. And this is from Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. And the first one is, medication is, of course, important, but do not conclude that a pill dissolving in your stomach is necessarily more powerful than a healing thought dissolving in your mind. And the second quote, and I love this, is, for the next 24 hours, deliberately speak hopefully about everything, about your job, about your children's marks in school, about your health, and about your future. And let's make this world a better place for everyone. Do make somebody smile, even a stranger, somebody you don't know. Do something for somebody else. And, if we all do our parts, we can help make this world a better place. And with that, I'd like to thank everybody so much for joining us here at To Be Your Own Hero. I almost said showing up perspectives on cancer, but that's not the show that we're on. So thank you so much. Please subscribe, like, and make a comment in the video, in the comment section. And we will see you next week. Be blessed, everyone, and have a great week. Thank you so much.